So hopefully you can hear me okay. I'll just check the stream first of all before we do anything. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who's joined. I see quite a few names here, and unlike previous times, let me just log in here till we see our Maltego picture. So good, welcome everyone, and this is one of the few live streams that I do, but I thought I'd run this one because we've got a few updates from my most recent video. So first of all, hello to everybody who's there. Hi, it looks like everybody can hear me okay. Yep. I see quite a number of faces there, so welcome. And yeah, we're going to go through a few updates just to that last stream. So as you know, I fired out a video early on Sunday morning, early UK time, because I was trying to make it coincide with my YouTube friend Carl Rock's video. And yeah, we released the two of them together because they covered the same call center. So this is really a little update video. And first of all, I just want to say hello to everybody who has joined. We've got quite a number of viewers here, well over 1,200 already. So thank you for joining first of all. And welcome to all the names that I can see here. Far, far too many of you to name individually, but welcome everyone anyway, and thank you for joining. So you've got a little Maltego picture here of that most recent video. And thank you, Alexander, for the Swedish kroner. Your messages, you're the best. I don't know about that. You'll have seen from that last video that I also linked to Carl Rock's channel. So hopefully a lot of you have had a chance to. Alexander, you've done that twice. Thank you so much. And Xenon, thank you very much. So I've linked to Carl's channel as well from that. And Carl Rock gives a very good picture of what life in India is really like. And I get a lot of comments about why on earth do people fall for scams? Why on earth do they all come from supposedly from India? And a lot of those questions are answered. All right, first of all, some shout outs to a few people who have used the super chat. It's entirely up to you, but again, thank you very much to Gallant Zero. Xenon, I've mentioned. Youssef, thank you again. And there's a couple of Canadian people here. Candice, thank you very much again for all of those. I will try to answer as many chats as I can, but obviously if people do super chat me, I thank you, and I will answer any of those questions especially. And yeah, and if there's anybody from the north of Ireland here, hello to you. You guys are fairly local to me. But anyway, this is a little update video on what's happened since. So the video I put out on Sunday has got a lot of viewers, and I think it's partly because I also included Carl Rock. So I've been actually working a little bit with Carl on other things as well. And as you can probably imagine, because he's closer to things in India, it's far, far better and easier for him to kind of put his eyes on some of these call centers. So I corresponded with him, and we managed to find a call center which was actually quite near him. And obviously we then went and got a few pictures of it. Oh, thank you very much, Keepin Hatton. Hopefully I've got that name right. And to Deepak Suba, thank you very much indeed. And to Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey, you're being extremely generous, and thank you very much. And I love the names A Pigeon and XCZC. Brilliant names, guys, honestly. But yeah, as I say, and to DX30,000, again, thank you very much. Thank you for all these. Honestly, I kind of get overwhelmed whenever I run these things and people kind of do super chats like this. It means an awful lot to me. But what I thought I would do in this quick update is really just to tell you what's happened since. So I'm going to drag over my browser here over to this other window. And one of the things which happened, which I've got to say has absolutely nothing to do with either me or Carl, is that within hours of the two videos going online, there was actually a raid on a New Delhi call center. Now, it's nothing to do with anything that was highlighted in this video, and but it's good to see this because this has been lacking for so long. And normally, what happens, and Carl actually has put another video out recently on this, but there was finally an arrest of a call center which was targeting foreigners, and that is one of the things that has been lacking to date. So before we go any further, probably a lot of people have seen this already, but I think this is as a direct result of, and it's referenced down below here, there was a, a Canadian broadcast which covered, called Marketplace, which covered them actually infiltrating some of these call centers. And I think this particular raid is a direct result from that. So as I say, it's nothing to do with anything that I have done. But I think maybe the embarrassment factor is creeping into India. And maybe with any luck, this will be a start of things to come. Because honestly, this, although it's kind of nice to be able to close down a call center just by bombarding them and kind of exposing them, there's absolutely nothing stopping anyone who is in that call center starting up again. So first of all, before we go any further, again, thank you very much to DSD Kane. These are all the people who've kind of doing the super chat here. Fixing laser sights, thank you very much. Again, I get a lot of thanks, but honestly, it's thanks to you guys actually doing this support. It's great. Mustafa El Manzawali, I hope I've pronounced that right. And Ashton Snap, hi, I'm the Banana Man. Hello to you as well. But again, it's kind of pleasing to see that these raids are starting, and with any luck, they will continue into the future. And if you have a look at Carl's channel, he's done a bit of analysis on why these things are extremely rare. And if you look on his channel, you'll see this video. And his analysis is right. It takes an awful lot of resources and time to raid these places. And because the victims are typically not from India, it's maybe less of a priority. And with any luck, before too long, those priorities might change, but it actually does need backing, probably from large tech companies. I think Microsoft are already involved in some of these raids, and I think their money and maybe expertise as well will help in the future. But it's good to see this. Anyway, as a direct result of what we have done, you've probably seen that the original Renowned Computer website was removed almost immediately. I think it took about 3/4 of an hour from whenever we first uploaded our videos to this website being taken down. There was also a domain called Renewed Technology, but I don't think they had actually a website on there. Certainly Renowned Computer was live a few days ago. And not only that, they had Facebook accounts. And again, Renewed Technology's Facebook account has been removed. There was a personal Facebook account for the guy who receives the money in the US, Mahir Shah. Now, although his Facebook page is gone because I think it had a lot of obviously personal details, his LinkedIn page is still there, so it's still live. So that's the only page. Let me just refresh that just to make sure. Yeah, I think it is. Yes, it's still there. So the guy who receives the money and the checks from these scams still has his LinkedIn page going. So that's the only one that I can see which is still live at this point. Obviously, the details of the managing director are still an external sites that they can't manage. And it shows that he is still the managing director of both Renewed Technology and Dexter's. These are the two companies that he owns. And yeah, some of his details are there. So Mahir has taken his Facebook offline, LinkedIn's still there. And so that's a bit of success. I'm sure that his LinkedIn account will probably disappear before too long. But that's a good success as well, and it shows that the videos are definitely having an impact on some of these scams. So just to kind of go back to the chat, Mr. E30, thank you very much. Greetings from Moira, not far from where I used to live. Boat has sent me 50 as well. Thank you very much. And it says, thank you for saving our elders. Of course, as most people know, most of these scams are directed at typically elderly people, people who are less computer literate. And it's, I think, seen as success by a scammer if they can get through to somebody who's a bit older and perhaps not computer literate. Lightning, again, thank you very much. And Archimedes, let me just go back to the chat here. So I will try and answer questions as well. I'll try and keep them on topic as well. So let me just go back here. I don't want to miss anybody from any of these chats. Let me go right back. Wow. Mental Angel, thank you very much. Message redacted, okay. Ben King as well, just saying keep up the hard work. Gurneet Singh, best wishes from India. I say I've had a lot of comments from people from India, even people who work in real call centers, saying that the scammers are completely ruining their reputation, and that's very understandable. I personally would hate to be working as somebody with an Indian accent in a call center because unfortunately these scams are so rife that the mistrust starts to work its way in, and it's never a good thing. So I actually get emails from people who work in legit call centers, but I thought it would also show one or two things which didn't appear in the video and might be of interest as well. So I've got a list of files here which I think are quite interesting. Some of them are audio and some of them are, well, just files which were, let's just say, lying around, ready to be read. Lord Zizumas, hopefully I've pronounced that right. Thank you very much again for supporting me. Logic 44 as well. Thank you so much. C4's the bomb as well. Amazed by the support you're getting. I'm amazed as well. We've got about over 5,000 people on this live stream, which I think is a bit of a record for me. And so thank you everybody who has joined here. I say I will try and answer as many questions as I can. It's quite difficult with the numbers here to try and answer all individual questions. And I see no target elite. Thank you very much for joining, and say hello from a sport guy in Russia. Yeah, hello. It's not often we get people from Russia in, so very welcome. I'm just going to play a few of these sound files because they give a good indication about what sort of activities that this scam call center was running. So the first one you probably recognize if you've watched any of my videos. This is just a standard refund WAV file which they load into the Robo dialer. So this will sound familiar if you've seen any of my videos before.
Dear customer, we are calling you from your computer maintenance company, and we hope your computer is working fine after getting the services from us. But unfortunately we will no longer able to provide you any further services in future. In order to claim your refund, please contact us immediately on our helpline number 1-844-525-1222. It's 1-844-525.
So that particular one, the refund number one, which ends in 1222, that was one of the numbers that I was able to scammer blast. And again, thanks to Scammer Blaster and his software, which enabled that to happen. I put a little bit of the detail of that on the video, and it's a very, very effective tool for taking scammer numbers out of action. So it's a tool that I intend to use in the future a lot more, because when you can see the impact that has, it's amazing. Literally, although I was only bombarding them for maybe 2 or 3 days, it affected them so badly that they had no real choice other than to change their number. And of course, as soon as they did so, I was able to bombard them again. So really, at the point that I finally contacted the managing director, they were ready to give up, which is always a good thing. So yeah, just answering some more of the chats here. Pumped Aaron, thank you very much. I really appreciate every one of those live chats. I'm amazed by the people who kind of wish me the best in this. I think the reason for it is I think everybody knows someone who's been scammed by these call centers. Maybe it's elderly relatives or whoever it is, but I think everybody knows someone who's been impacted by this kind of activity. And really, I think whenever you can kind of get one over on scammers, it's always a good thing. So I'm quite happy to be doing this, and I'll continue to do it for as long as I get scam calls myself. I do get a lot of emails asking, can I help with various scams? And I think I try my best, but obviously, unless the scammer attempts to connect to my PC or has an excuse to connect to my PC, I usually can't help out. So a lot of the emails I have to reply back and say, I'm really sorry, I can't help you. I'm no better than anyone else. I think people might think I'm some sort of Uber hacker. I'm far from that. It's just I've figured out a way of reversing these connections, which I never go into in detail in any of the videos, because if I did reveal exactly how that's done, then I simply wouldn't get that access again. So I don't really want it to be public knowledge. So a lot of people cry out that, well, are these videos fake or something? I can assure you they're not. And hopefully some of these other files will kind of show you that it is a genuine reverse connection that I'm getting here. So some of the other files, this is a, sorry, just I'll go quickly back to the chat to make sure I don't miss anyone. Um, Mad Max, um, Mad Max Aim Minx. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Thank you very much. You can throw me $8. Thank you so much. Carbon Card as well from New Zealand by the looks of it. You're just saying a massive thanks. And Gainsey95 again, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Odo Acker as well. Again, hopefully I've pronounced the names right. You're asking, do I plan to do more videos where you listen in on a scam and just stop it just before the victim gets scammed? Believe it or not, I have actually quite a number of those which I've never broadcast because I wasn't sure whether they're actually of interest to people. But and I don't want this to turn, or the whole channel to turn into something about me just trying to save people. That's not really what it's about. It's about exposing the tactics of scammers and hopefully driving the Indian government eventually to do something about them. So I have got quite a number of those, but I've never actually broadcast them. I might collect some of them together, Odaker, and just show you what happens. But usually it's I will listen in to a scam happening and try and stop it at an appropriate point. And that point is usually whenever I can find out the person who's being victimized, find out their phone number. And if I can do that, now what the scammers tend to do is keep the person on the phone. And I have very limited control over what happens, but sometimes it's possible to suspend their phone call if they're using, for example, VoIP software. So if it's running on the same PC that I can see, I can usually suspend that, and that gives me an opportunity to phone them. And if that happens, then I can warn them in a timely way. But sometimes that's quite difficult, particularly if they're phoning them on something external. And I can't always get through to all of the victims. This is the really hard bit. You can hear scams going on. You can even hear and see what's happening to some people, but you can't always get in touch with them. And even when you do get in touch, you're not always believed. And I will upload a video pretty soon about how I tried to get in touch with someone. I thought they'd kind of understood everything that was going on. I phoned them a number of times, but I still couldn't get that poor person to hang up the call from the scammer. And I watched as the scammers bombarded him with calls, and they basically badgered him into going to buy gift cards. And it was really distressing to watch, and so much so that I had to call his local police. And the local police, which was I'll detail this in another video, but the local police didn't want to know. The crime hadn't happened yet, and they weren't basically they told me they weren't going to prevent it, which it's anyway. I'll produce a video on it because I honestly don't know if I could have or should have done things differently, and I would be very interested in people's opinions on it. So I think Odaker, I will probably produce another video on just that. Just back to the chats, JM329, thank you so much as well. I'm going to play a couple of more, Origami Purple as well, thank you so much again. I'm going to play a couple more of the files that I found lying around their PCs. This one is probably a familiar one to some people. This one's an
This is
Apple
Olivia
one.
from Apple Support. We have found some suspicious activities in your iCloud account, that your iCloud account has been breached. Before using any Apple device, please press 1 to connect with Apple Support Advisor.
So there's an impression that somehow Apple users are less influenced by these scams, but that is definitely not the case. And I'm seeing scammers deliberately targeting Apple customers, as you can hear in that one, a lot more than they used to. It used to be that if you're running anything other than Windows, they couldn't do anything. But as you can hear from that audio, they're specifically targeting Apple there. This next audio, though, is something I hadn't heard before. And I initially, when I first heard the audio, I thought it was them trying to kind of warn people against scams. But then when you hear the end of it, then you realize what the whole thing's about. So I'm just going to play this bit of audio, and this may be new to, it was certainly new to me, but maybe others have heard this before. Have a listen to this one.
This is an auto-generated call from Better Business Bureau. Consumers are aggressively being targeted by phone, email, and online pop-ups by fraudsters pretending to represent Microsoft, Apple, or other tech support companies. If ever you have paid any money against fixing your computer, phone, tablet, etc., or removing virus or activating firewall, etc., you are entitled to get a refund. Kindly contact BBB Refund Team on 1-719-399-60.
So there you go. So really, that one is all about, it's not really a warning about scams, although the first bit of the call sounds like that. What they're saying is, if you've ever heard any of those messages, you're going to get a refund. So this is just another variant of the standard refund scam, but they're dressing it up and pretending to be the Better Business Bureau, which is kind of scary as well. So I hadn't heard that variant before, but I thought I'd play it on this one because I did find that amongst the renewed technologies list of robocalls that they send out. Just back to the chat here. My goodness, sorry, I don't want to miss anyone here. Origami Purple, thank you so much. You're asking me, if a scammer makes a new scam, what are the signs are there that will point to that it is a scam? It is quite difficult to gauge whether it's a scam or not. I would say 90% of all robocalls, though, are typically scams. But the exception, of course, is your bank may well give you a robocall to say that there's suspicious activity on your card. But rarely will they give a phone number to ring, and they will probably just say contact your card provider. I would be very suspicious if there was a phone number left on those messages which didn't match the one that's on your bank card. And again, it is quite difficult to distinguish between a genuine warning from a bank and something which is a scam. But I would say pretty much everything else, any other robocall, almost in my own experience anyway, is bound to be a scam. So that's the advice I would give, is just double check the phone number that you've been given. And the color display as well. The number which appears in the color display may well be spoofed, and the more advanced scammers will spoof a genuine bank number or whatever, and just be aware of that. I wouldn't necessarily continue a call which I'd received, which was a cold call. I would say always hang up and phone whatever official number that you have rather than what is being claimed on a robocall. So yeah, so let me just go back to the chat here. Trent, thank you very much again. Don't worry about monthly support. There's a load of people support me now, and I do have a patron channel, and I try to kind of give my patrons a bit more information. I do live streams with them. I'm just about to set up a kind of an online chat. So if you're a patron of mine as well, you may have already heard some of this before or some of the updates before. And as I say, I'm trying to run a bit of a more of an interactive voice chat from this point onwards. Jesse E, thank you very much. Senator here, thank you for work. My GMA almost scammed by an hour IRS, but you intervened. Well done, Jesse. And you trolled the number for weeks. Yes, this is the problem. There's not so many IRS scams here in the UK. It tends to be the equivalent, which is HMRC, and we get those phone calls as well. And most of the time, they're from India. Cryptic's asking, how do I get tech support scam numbers? I think the easiest answer is look at scammer.info, and you will find a load of them there. BobRTC.live as well is an extremely good website. It will let you call scam numbers for free. And if you aren't already, you can probably see it here. If you aren't already signed up and using BobRTC, please do that, because it's an extremely good program. It will let you, as I say, oh, that's not the right one. Anyway, I'll let you, okay, I can't demo it just yet, but I'll let you log in and see that. But bobrtc.live is the place to go if you want to phone up scammers for free. And as I say, you'll get loads of scammer numbers there and the type of scam that it is, whether it's IRS or Microsoft Windows fake virus type things. Off-Road Guy, again, thank you very much for supporting me. I got all these super chats. Michael Turner as well, thank you. Thank you again. Same for Colorman. You're asking me, though, any tips for taking down scammers? The very easiest thing you can do is just keep them occupied, because when they're talking to you, they're not scamming your grandmother. And honestly, even if you don't have to be in any way technical at all to do that, and as I say, go to bobrtc.live and you can call them for free. And as much time as you can possibly spend keeping them occupied is always a good thing. And eventually we may get to the point where it's just uneconomic to publish a number, either because somebody's going to bombard it with the scammer blasting, or literally there's the people that they tend to talk to are you guys, the scam baiters, and just keep them occupied. And eventually we'll get to the point where it's just uneconomic for scammers to do these sort of actions. It won't cut it out completely, I'm sure, but at least it'll be less and less lucrative than it currently is. So yes, there's technical ways that you can. The scammer blasting is a very effective way of preventing the calls. So back to the chat. There's a couple more documents before I go back to the chat that I'd like to show you. There's another variant of the audio, so let me just play it. Again, this has all come from Renewed Technologies computers, so I'll just play this one as well.
Some suspicious activities has been detected on your Facebook account, and your account is trying to log in from different IP address for your account.
So different. I hear that it's some sort of colloquialism for Indian people. The word is just different. We never use different. But when you hear that on an audio, you can be certain that it's somebody from India who's created it. Just listen to that again.
In from different IP address for your account security, call on Facebook Security Department 1-8.
So they're trying to be Facebook Security Department there as well. And you wonder who falls for these things, but honestly, you could be just a victim of circumstance and something could be going wrong with Facebook. And you happen to get this call within minutes and you might fall for this. So, it's a lot of comments are along the lines of, well, who could possibly fall for these scams? You could well be unfortunate with timing. And again, if you're not very computer literate, maybe you'll not be taken seriously. Anyway, let's just back to the chat here and make sure I'm not missing anyone. Yes, Multigo Sniper Snowy. I use Multigo, which is that diagramming tool I showed at the very start, just to show the kind of layout of the organization. I think it's far better to see it visually, and I'll probably use Multigo a bit more often from now on because I can gather and do gather that sort of intelligence. And yeah, it's a useful tool. It's a free tool as well. It only runs on Linux as far as I know. I could be wrong there though. Um, so yes, there's another document which I'd like to show you. So first of all, thank you, Andrew C. Again, most of the messages are kind of thank yous, but honestly, it's you guys supporting me, watching the videos and everything else really encourages me to keep going. So again, I really appreciate everybody who subscribes to the channel, and even in the chat here, I've got loads and loads of comments about keeping up the good work and so on. So really appreciate that. Hi Charlie from Galway as well. There's another document which I'd like to show you again. I picked this up from their um, this was just sitting on the scammer's desktop, and it's really a summary of everything that they call it the pitch. Okay, but it's really everything that you would normally hear on a tech support scam. Um, you know, we're, all the usual questions that you'd normally hear. So it's interesting that the script is the same every single time. There's no variation here. They always say that you've got some sort of virus. So it looks like you've got four different. They run NetStat, and they've got, I think that's Serbia, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka. It's all the usual stuff that if you've seen any of my videos before, they all say the same thing. But this was sitting on the guy's desktop, so yeah, it was just interesting to see the script actually sitting there. And usually you can't find these things, but this is their script. So I might add a little link on the original video to some of these files, but it's interesting to see their own scripts here as well. Hackers using your account will identify it from use for illegal terrorist activity. Always trying to, and yes, you see at the very bottom there, that really what they want is gift cards. So that's a fairly standard script, and as I say, gift cards are being used much more often. So again, just go back to the chat. My goodness, right? So many chats here, and I'm hoping I'm not going to miss anything here. Just go back here a little bit. Okay. Daniel R, thank you very much. You're saying you've got a computer science major. Hopefully some of these videos, I don't know, if a lot of people are studying either computer science or cyber security, and I kind of point people, if you ever get a chance to go into cyber security or if it interests you at all, it's a very good area to get into, and there will be huge demand for people who have got any kind of skills in the cyber technology world. So I would encourage anyone to go into that if you've got even a vague interest in it. So Daniel, I think you're looking like you're going to go into that area. That's a very good thing to do. James Oldiges, hopefully I pronounced it right. Thank you very much again. So I'll try and answer a few more questions here. So what's the best way to take a scammer down? Probably along the lines of what I've just done. I think targeting their phone numbers is one of the big areas. And if you can possibly do it, figure out their payment gateways as well. Those are the two weak spots of pretty much every scam. The phone number, if you just bombard it, as you can see with that latest video, is enough usually to take those numbers offline. The payment gateway, if the payment gateway isn't one of these kind of black hat ones, they may be responsive and actually try and take out the services that they offer to some of these scammers. Some scammers, though, they definitely have their own resilient payment gateways, and it's something to be aware of. But yes, those are the two weak spots usually of most scams. So yeah, if you're going after a scammer, their phone number and their payments. Ronald McIntosh, thank you very much. What's a play code or target GC to an Indian? I'm not sure what that means. A play code. Okay, is this, if you mean the numbers that you get on gift cards? I think if it is, Ronald, or maybe kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but the gift card numbers are real currency to scammers. They can convert them very quickly, or they can resell them on. Or indeed, there's something called a cash app, where literally you will buy something in, say, the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and its sole purpose is to launder the money cleanly from a gift card to cash. And literally will buy a completely useless app, and the app developer will then split the proceeds between whoever has bought that app, that useless app, and themselves. So it's a clean way to launder money. And that's definitely being used more and more. So hopefully I've answered that correctly, Roland. I'm not sure what you meant by that. Alexander, again, thank you very much. Hopefully I've answered that. Like, Alexander, what do they do with the gift cards? They may convert it directly, of course, into a laptop or whatever and resell that. But they usually need an accomplice somewhere, like if they're, for example, Target gift cards or Walmart. Obviously, the scammers are in India. They would need some accomplice who's in the USA to go and buy that. So they tend not to do that. It's more likely to be either they transfer, create a different type of gift card. There's sites which buy and sell these gift cards, and they will either use one of those sites, or as I say, the Cash App thing is more usual. So just going through the other questions. JSK81, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Adiodi, thank you. Keep it up. Is it possible to trace back scammers that are able to duplicate local phone numbers when calling you? You get them a lot. This is a big problem. The short answer is you usually cannot tell that a phone number has been forged. That's the general rule of thumb. The only people who can tell this are the telecom providers, and they're only in a state to realize that it is not one of their phone numbers, even though one of their phone numbers is being presented. The problem with the old POTS, the plain old telephone system, is that it is not up to date with modern standards. So when a spoofed telephone number comes along, there's nothing in place to drop that call or to raise some sort of alarm that it's not genuine. Literally every telephone provider in the world would have to come to an agreement about how they would identify a real phone line compared to a VoIP line. And even if it's a VoIP line, there is no protocol to restrict the line the line ID which is presented. So the long and short of it is you can't tell whether a number is being spoofed or not when it's on your caller ID. And it's not something which is well known. And in the past, you can do things like, I can trace a telephone number. That just is not possible when it's a VoIP line. And I think this is one of the basic things that I think telecoms companies have to grapple with and come up with a new way, or indeed change the VoIP protocol itself so that this becomes less of a problem. I still think there will be room for people to spoof phone numbers or to have a phone number which is different from the line that it's supposed to be attached to. But it's a big thing and it needs to change. So hopefully I've answered that one. Colorman, have you considered bricking their computers by deleting them? I don't think that's very effective, because if you look at their computers, they tend to be kind of old machines, very little on them. They're only used for scamming, and the long and short of it is they would rebuild it in maybe 1 or 2 hours, so I don't think it would disrupt them. What I tend to do is go after their organization, and I think that does more damage than just deleting stuff off their computers. Quite apart from it's maybe a little bit less legal than what I do anyway. I don't think it's just as effective as what I do. I see others doing that. There's 1 or 2 other scam baiters who do more of that sort of stuff. It's just not my scene, I think. So let me just go back to the chat again. Oh, yes, I've got one other thing just before I go back to the chat to show you. So it's another Word document. So I'm going to fire this up. And if anybody's in India, you can maybe comment on this. But one of the other files that I found on their computers was this document, which is Himanshu Nigam's, supposedly his, I believe, like a tax return. And this is what he computes his income to be. And it includes, maybe I shouldn't have pushed all of this onto the screen. Oh well, such a pity. But anyway, this is his total income, and I guess from his company. Now again, this is all in Indian rupees. I don't know whether this is legit or not, but certainly the company that he works for and is managing director of has earned $500,000 over the past 3 years. And I would be quite happy to forward this particular little document to an Indian tax authority if they would be interested in this, because I suspect what he's declaring here is very different from what his company actually earned. And I would be really interested, and maybe get in touch with me if you know good contacts in the Indian tax authorities who may be interested in this. I mean, there's a description of what the supposed company turnover is, but obviously he will be taxed on whatever profits are there. And oh dear, I might just have mentioned some of his bank accounts there. I'd better put that away very quickly. Anyway, I thought if you're in the Indian tax authorities or can point me to someone who might be interested in this, do let me know. I better remove that in case somebody sees his various bank account numbers. Okay, oops, sorry about that. Anyway, so let me just go back to the chat here. Sorry, I just don't want to miss anyone. So I'll go right back here, apologies. So, Susan, you're asking all the best, Jim. Thank you very much, Susan. Again, I really appreciate everybody who's speaking to me on all of the chat. I have to pay attention to the super chat, so I don't want to ignore people in the normal chat, but there's so many people in here that I find it quite difficult to keep up with it. Call one of the scammers' mothers and have their talk to her. Actually, I'm monitoring another scamming organization, and I found the details of one of the scammers' father, and I might actually ring his dad at some point and ask him, does he know everything that his son's doing? Because the son, unfortunately, from what I've seen, is quite a nasty piece of work. And there'll be a video in the future which will kind of cover some of what he's doing. And a lot of it's quite horrific, but you'll see that before too long. Sad turtle soup. Here in the US, we've got extended vehicle warranty scams. 4 or 5 calls a day. Actually, believe it or not, I've signed up to the Text Now service. That's how I get a US phone number. And I get extended vehicle warranty scams all the time on that phone number. So I can only imagine just how bad those phone calls are in the USA. Yeah, I sympathize greatly, and they are incredibly annoying. You kind of ask them, excuse me, who is this? How did you get my number? And they just immediately hang up. All they want is, well, what is your make and model, sir? And if you tell them anything other than a make and model, they'll just hang up. They're just really annoying people. Ilmars Fuchs, thank you very much from Latvia. Thank you. Nico Jones, keep it up. Thank you very much. A dancing bean there as well. I didn't realize you could actually put these into the super chat. Thank you very much, Nico. Yatali R, hopefully I pronounced it right. Just so you call it a vid. Awesome stuff, man. Thank you very much again for that. Jill Boomer, thank you. How often do you think scammers themselves watch your videos and or live streams? I have quite a number. If I look at my stats, I think the 5th or 6th most common area where people watch my videos is from India. And almost immediately after I put any sort of video up, I will get instant thumbs down. But I regard that as kind of a little badge of honor, because I know that I've disrupted quite a number of scammers in the past, and they do subscribe to me. I'm really aware of that. So every time I see a thumbs down, yes, it might be obviously people don't like the videos, but I suspect a lot of the time it's your disgruntled scammers who just want to give it a thumbs down. So, as I say, I like to see it as a little badge of honor. It's quite a nice thing. So I think Jill, yeah, there's quite a few there, and again, thanks for your support. Let me just go back through. Chaos Theory 16, thank you very much. Saying thank you for your work. Prashant Sharma as well, thank you. And I noticed quite a number of people, particularly after Carl Rock's video, have joined this, and I've quite a number of subscribers, particularly from India recently. And Super Deep, I see you've given me some rupees. Thank you very much. You're running against a big corporation. Maybe do get in touch there. I don't know how much I can help. Said at the start of this video, what I tend to be able to do is go after scammers who connect to my computer. If they don't connect to my computer, I will have great difficulty trying to do much about scammers. So do bear that in mind, but I will try and get in touch with you. Alexander, again, thank you so much. You've thrown in these super chats quite a number of times, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anyone. The Dank Leaf, thank you. Oh, you've got a critical alert from Microsoft. Thank you very much. I maybe will update some of my little intros and outros before too long. Maybe I'm wearing thin on the critical alert bit. We'll see. Elias, thank you very much, Elias Herman. And I'm just trying to answer some of the other questions. I think the scammers might. Wingman is asking me, do I think that scammers check their closet every night for me being there? I'd like to think that they'll breathe a little less easier anyway whenever they know what can happen. And with any luck, they're paying attention to some of these videos. It's not just me, of course. There's other scam baiters doing exactly the same thing. And yeah, maybe it's getting a little bit more difficult. I don't know. Ethan Newfuse, are there no customer warnings displayed? Yeah, at gift cards, warning about scams. Australian supermarkets do this. I think that's starting to happen a bit more now, and what you hear usually is scammers coaching the victims that when they go into these stores like Walmart or Target or whatever, that they're told to say certain things. They're told not to say that it's like a refund or some sort of bank problem. They're told and coached to say, when you go in there, say this is a gift for a relative, or say it's a gift for someone, or just don't mention that you've had any phone calls. And they'll even encourage the victim to hold the cell phone, as they go into these shops to buy them. And if there's any queries, they will coach them into what to say. It's quite harrowing to hear that sometimes, but this happens quite a lot. I think the gift card warnings around them, I think, are starting to appear. But it couldn't happen fast enough. And again, if you've got relatives, particularly elderly relatives, without sounding patronizing, maybe just warn them that no legit company will ever want payment by way of gift cards, and hopefully it'll keep them right. Alexander AB, thank you very much again. Let's defeat dishonesty. Yes, well, that's the aim of all of this, is to try and hopefully do something about these guys. Okay, Warren, thank you again. Now it's social media true color source for scammers. Okay, that's the only place my landline is listed. Okay, that's interesting. The Truecaller ID, I must admit I'm not that familiar with, but there's various technologies which will help prevent a lot of the robocalls. So you can buy telephones, for example, which will automatically reject unknown numbers, so you can kind of whitelist your own relatives. But that's quite extreme. And there will be occasions when legitimate callers who you don't know will try and contact you. But there's ways that they can announce themselves first of all. So they're meant to record, the phone will force them to record who they are. And then you can decide whether to accept or reject that. And that will probably eliminate a lot of the robocalls. And if it's a genuine caller who really wants to get in touch, they shouldn't really have a problem recording who they are and who they represent first before the recipient decides to accept or reject the call. I think that's the way ahead, really, with phone calls in general. So yeah, hopefully I've answered that, Warren. I think Truecaller is another way to do that, but it achieves the same aim. Mike, again, thank you. Oh, it's interesting when you work in number porting, and the number of unauthorized port outs has increased like crazy. It's part of identity theft, which is correct. Any advice about port out scams? I'm not that familiar with port out. I presume it means that there are some legitimate reasons why a telephone company will be told that the number that they used to own no longer sits with them. Now, I don't unfortunately know the ins and outs of how this scamming works. Presumably, voice over IP providers will want to get legitimate landline type phone numbers, and they will want to port these things out. So there would be legitimate reasons for that. But I would say there's probably a lot of fraud in there as well. But I'm afraid I'm not that familiar with it, so I can't really comment too much on it. Gert Nutlitz, thank you very much again. Everybody throwing in the super chat, and hopefully I'm not missing any of these because I'm scrolling up like mad. But there's an awful lot of people who are in the chat, so I really do want to get through and answer as many questions as I can. Let me just go back here. Jordi Catalan, Catalunya, good name. Indian scammers are evolving and they're calling Barcelona and using Spanish. Wow, right, okay. So I think this was only a matter of time. I have seen in the past scammers being actually trained in Japanese, and I could see Spanish scripts as well. And sometimes, I can see them diversifying. I've seen them try to speak Norwegian and Danish and Swedish, and Spanish is obviously another one. I've seen scammers even put pop-ups in French and will speak French to target French people too. But yes, it's not a surprise they're starting to target Spanish people as well. Mark Carbon, have I ever been warned by law enforcement about the type of activities I do on scammer computers? I guess this is a gray area. They connect to me. There is a two-way communication between me and them. And the fact that I make use of an existing connection without actually going in and hacking them, I don't know where I stand on that, but in theory, it's definitely a gray area to say the least. But I put it this way: I've never had a complaint from a scammer, and the only complaint I think that anyone could have is if you're a scammer. I cannot possibly connect to anyone's PC unless someone has agreed to set up a connection with me. I don't know exactly where that puts me, but that's what I'm risking, I guess. But I haven't had any complaints or warnings from law enforcement about anything that I've done. And probably just the opposite. I pass information on to law enforcement. Some, let's say, UK and US authorities do something with it. Indian ones so far have not, but I'm hoping that will change. D-Man, thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Yes, I'm trying to connect this with some of the other scam baiters around. So I have done a little thing with Kitboga, which I still embarrassingly have not edited yet, but I will be putting out before too long when I get the time. And yeah, Pierogi, I will again link up with. Pleasant Green is another person that I've just made contact with, and I want to do a little thing with him as well. And obviously, we've done this with Carl Rock, and I will be linking up with Carl definitely in the future. And we have a project that we have collaborated in and will do something before too long, probably in January time. Dream Active, thank you very much. You're saying that's beautiful. Thank you. Imagine ASD. There are Chinese call centers you've pointed out here. I don't get so many of those, although I've started to get calls from where the robocaller speaks Chinese, and so far, anytime I've answered in English, they've just hung up on me. But I predict it safely that we're going to get robocalls and so on from China before too long. Utaliar, just wondering if you use a virtual machine when scammers connect to you. If not, why not? I always use a virtual machine, and I have it set up in a way that it doesn't look very much like a virtual machine. There are ways of telling, and I always use that because some of them do damage your computer. They will delete stuff. They will lock your computer. Some of them I've seen recently, even though the syskey command has been removed on Windows 10, they will download a bit of software which does the same thing. It does a system lock. And again, I'll show this in a video. So the scammers always adapt their tactics, but I always use a virtual machine for that very reason. You're almost bound to run into, at some point, you're going to run into a scammer who's going to damage your computer. And of course, with a virtual machine, you can instantly restore that. So it's always a VM. So, Ice Jericho, hopefully pronounced right. Shout out to the 20 plus scammers who disliked the video. Yeah, oh, I always get that. I mentioned that before. A little badge of honor whenever I get a dislike, because it's almost certain to be a disgruntled, let's hopefully ex scammer. Elisha, thank you very much again. And George, do I use OSINT for research? So open source intelligence. I do. There's a guy called iSmugger, and you'll see him on. Let me just get up his. iSmugger is one of the people who uses OSINT to kind of track scammers, and I guess the Maltego picture is probably something which is akin to that, but it's possible to use OSINT to kind of map out all these relationships between scammers and say I want to use that more in the future. Do I use it? I certainly do make use of it when it's available. There's not a lot of intelligence sitting out there against scamming organizations, but it's actually starting to happen a bit more. Super Deep, yep, please do get in touch, and you can either tweet me or if you look on YouTube, you'll see my email address there as well. Looking back to the chat. Okay, we've got, hang on, let's go back here. Again, don't want to miss anything of what I've been blabbing. Okay, sorry. James, thank you very much. I am a scammer. How can I stop scam baiting? It's very easy. Don't use your computer. just watch YouTube. It's the best way. Walks, thank you very much. Wow, and a little bean on a firework. Wow, I like these animations in the super chat. I hadn't seen these before. Thank you. Nitch Tompkins, thank you so much for the work. Amazing. Thank you very much, Nitch. Sharavan, every country like Sweden is getting calls. Thank you for the crackdown. Yes, I have seen scammers, and I have actually seen Swedish addresses and Danish addresses pop up in their dialing software. And hopefully this is inspiring some more cybersecurity careers. I would love to say that the Indian authorities are supporting me. I've only had ever one response from India, and that was to say I'm going to pass it on to somebody else, and nothing more happened. So I've had absolutely zero results from India, even though a lot of people say, can you not tweet this address or email this address or phone this address? I've done all of that, and I've still yet to hear any action being taken as a direct result of what I've reported into India. Nothing at all, I'm afraid. Let me see. NM40, what type of keylogger do I use? So there's something called, if you Google, let me do that. Google. If you Google best free keylogger Lite, you will see one by BestX Software. This is the one that I use. And if you want to use this, it'll run on quite a number of platforms. And if you want to use this, please bear in mind that your antivirus will and should throw up a complaint about this. So just bear that in mind. It does not mean that this is a virus. It means that, hey, it's a keylogger, and absolutely you should know about this if it's installed on your machine. If you're in any doubt at all about it, only put it on your virtual computer, because that's where it needs to be for the scammer to use. But if you're wondering about what I use, it's this one. And the nice thing about it is not only does it contain keystrokes, but it also it contains what's in the clipboard. So if you walk away from your computer while the scammer is supposedly fixing or doing something on your PC, they will undoubtedly be doing other things, possibly on other people's computers, and you will spot what goes in and out of their clipboard. And it gives you, even if you don't have the expertise to reverse connections, it could give you the ability to see what's going on the scammer's machine. So that clipboard is actually a really useful feature, and it's something that I've seen in the past that has actually identified, for example, the names and organizations of these scammers, because they'll chat to each other on their messenger clients, for example. So it's a really good tool to use, but bear in mind that warning about antivirus. Just go through the chat here. Just check. Oh, Murali Krishna, thank you very much again. I think I've seen quite a number of people who've given me rupees, so I think I've got quite a number of additional people who have come from Carl's channel to mine. So I'm guessing that you may have come from that area. So thank you very much for your support. Bodband, thank you very much. New Zealand dollars. Have I ever had a scammer come after me once I've messed around with them? Not really. One or two have tried to flood my call, but I never ever use a real phone number. I always dial people on, let's just say, a disposable phone number. And I have multiple phone numbers where I can receive calls and send calls, obviously. And if someone does start to bombard me with calls, then I just drop that VoIP connection completely. So yeah, one or two have dialed me back, kind of war dialed me, but I can live with that, let's just say. T. O'Brien, $20, thank you very much. Thanks for being you. I like the animation there too. Hi there, Best. Hi, Bruce. Greets from Austria. Nice to have somebody from Austria here as well. Ishu Raj, thanks very much again for all of that. And apologies for kind of concentrating on the super chats. It's just that I have very little time and I don't want to miss anyone who's done the super chat. So sorry if it looks like I'm ignoring everybody else, but I really do. Hopefully you'll understand this. Gallant Zero, what's my favorite beer? Well, obviously being Irish, there has to be Guinness in there. So if I'm ever in a pub with any of you, mine's a Guinness. So thank you. Yes, the beer is Guinness, has to be. Zico, will I ever post a tutorial on how to scam bait and connect to devices and so on? Yes, I have done the odd one or two tutorials. There's one on disguising a VM, and there's one or two on a few of the other kind of important bits about scam baiting, including what sort of software you should install. I probably will do a lot more of those. I tend to concentrate on anti-scamming rather than tutorials, but yes, I will do a bit more of that again when I get time. Justin Bees, will there be any more videos of scammers doing their scams and videos of me helping the victims? Yes, I mentioned earlier, I tend not to show or at least minimize the number of people who are seen as victims, and I kind of do that both for their privacy, although I don't show any details, and the fact that I don't really want the channel to become something like, oh, Jim goes in and saves the day. That's just not what it's about. But I will post a little bit more of that because mostly because of you'll see what tactics the scammer uses, and I think that's more important than actually helping out the victims, although there's quite a lot that I've recorded and actually never intend to upload. Diganta, thank you very much. Someone actually said it'd be funny if I put ransomware on their PCs. I've seen that done before, and I think I'm kind of on dodgy enough ground, even just connecting to their computers, without really advertising it. I'd be using ransomware. Yes, it would be funny, okay. How effective it would be, I don't know though. So these scammers can turn around their PCs very quickly, and I don't think it's as effective as recording what they're doing and publicizing it. That's why you'll probably never see that from me. If you try and bait scammers to waste their time, can they trace your computer or phone number? Not really. Can't. I mean, I always run a VPN anyway. So even if the scammer looked at my IP address, they would see somewhere in probably Europe or somewhere close by. They wouldn't see my real IP. The only danger is it connects to a router, and if you don't have the router configured so that its configuration is secure, then they could. The worst thing they could do is damage your router, but it's password protected. Okay, so a few more questions. So yes, there's a question about a keylogger. Somebody else asked me about a VPN. Hopefully, I've answered that one. I use WinScribe actually for that. Yeah, so the keylogger, that's been answered as well. Thank you. Let me just go back through. Sure, I'm missing everything. Okay, good stuff. Okay, I don't want to get the live stream going on too much longer. I'll probably spend about another 5 minutes. Thank you to everybody who has asked all these questions. Hopefully, I've answered most of them. And again, it's just all of the people who've contributed using the super chat. I'm every time it's almost embarrassing for me to run these things because people want to contribute and say thanks. So I really appreciate everybody who's joined in this live stream, asked a question, listened in, and actually appreciates the videos that I've put up there. So thank you to everybody who's joined. Denny RN, thank you. Just go back to this. Matthew Frierson. Oh yeah, you've asked me about UK based have you been in an accident calls, and these are the ambulance chasing calls. I get tons of these. I get them on my mobile phone, I get them on my landline, and they're actually quite difficult to track down. It's very difficult to track down who exactly is behind all of that. You nearly need to give your proper postal address before they will actually reveal which companies are behind them. I've tried to corner a few of the people who make those calls because they're just so relentless. And obviously, it's a call center in India making the calls, but they're selling these leads to people in the UK. And I would love to know who actually buys those leads because effectively they're getting around a telephone preference service where they cannot make cold calls by offshoring it to India and then them selling data to these companies. And I'm certain sure that practice is illegal, but it's very difficult to find out who's actually buying that data. And of course, they're bound to deny it even if they were confronted. So if you did find out who was buying that data, they would just say, "Oh, but we only asked for people on the not on the telephone preference system to be dialed." So it's a big problem, and somebody has to be held to account. I think it's those UK companies. Okay, so the Church Radio, Northern or Republic of Ireland. I'm in the north of Ireland, or was in the north of Ireland, not there now. Verdan, reading some Sarajevo. Thank you very much. Good to hear from somebody from Bosnia. Thank you. Lego Freak, quadruple 844. Thank you again. Just make sure I'm not missing anyone. Jacob, I have some British pounds. Thank you very much. New here, which is great. It's crazy how people manipulate the digital world. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was hoping with scam awareness that the amount of calls would decrease over time and people would be more and more aware of the calls, but it does not seem to be dying out in any way. So that's the shocking thing for me. The calls keep continuing. There doesn't seem to be a reduction in the number of calls that you get. And as you can hear from some of the audio I was playing earlier, their tactics vary. So they're pretending to be Better Business Bureau, they're pretending to be Facebook and Apple, and it's all a changing scene. So scammers adapt. Mark, thank you very much. When's the Kitboga collab happening? It has happened, and I said this before, embarrassingly, I haven't edited the video yet. Kitboga's in the same boat though, so we're both equally to blame. I do intend to push the Kitboga collaboration video out within the next couple of weeks. I promise that. So thanks for asking though, Mark. Lego Freak, I know you asked this before. Have I been reverse connected while trying to reverse connect to a scammer? Well, I mean, they want to connect to me, so effectively I'm opening up my PC to them anyway. But no, nobody's reversed a reverse connection, but thanks for asking. Not so far anyway. STP World, I know a bit of pranking. The wrong people, can you help? I'm not sure what that means, but thank you anyway. Thank you, STP World. Okay, I haven't got too long left on the live stream, and again, thank you everybody for joining it. I'll just cover the last few chats here. Robert, thank you very much. When will I release collaboration with Kitboga? It will be in about 2 weeks. Okay, I promise that. Deo, hello Deo, another fellow scam baiter. Thanks for all you do. Why do I blur their faces? I blur their faces because if I don't blur their faces, within hours of me uploading the videos, I get a privacy complaint from the person who appears in the video or supposed to appear in the video. I suspect it's not them, it's their scamming organization. But to avoid that, on YouTube at least, I tend to blur scammer faces. Sometimes not very well, but I have to do that because there's an inevitable privacy complaint, and that's the reason for it. Some of my videos I put on alternative platforms unblurred, but actually I haven't found, honestly, a very good alternative platform. I'm trying out LBRY, I've tried out DTube, I've tried out a number of other ones, and they've all been pretty rubbish, to be quite honest. So as soon as I find another decent alternative platform, I will release an unblurred version there as well. I keep a private version or an unlisted version of the videos for patrons because it's not public. And if you're a patron of mine, you get to see the unblurred one, but that's not the primary reason. The primary reason is the public version. I always get complaints from, well, privacy complaints from YouTube. Jointed Apollo, what VoIP software do I use? How do I set it up? I will do tutorial videos on this. I'm asked that quite a lot. BobRTC.live, again, I'll plug it. You don't need a VoIP software if you want to call scammers. There's plenty of numbers there. If you really do want a VoIP platform, I happen to use SIPGate, but that's because I'm in the UK. There will be other providers, of course, in any other region that you happen to be in. I think just Google the best prices. It does cost money. But if you want to use bobrtc.live, it's absolutely free, and you can call any of the scammer numbers that are there just by clicking on them. So I would really encourage everybody to use it. Elliot's asking, can they bypass a VPN? Simply speaking, no. If you've got your software set up right, there's no way that they can bypass that. That's the simplest answer. I could give a more complex answer, but that's the simplest I can give. Naba B, every good deed deserves support. Thank you very much, Naba. Again, you're supporting me, but I appreciate everybody who's spoken to me, supports me, subscribes to the channel, and again, it's good to hear from people. I get a lot of encouragement from everybody who joins the channel and gives the comments, whether it's in live streams or just on the normal videos. So again, thank you for that. Okay, I do want to wrap it up. I'll just cover the last couple of points here. Alok, he's hiding taxes. Yes, absolutely. There's money laundering going on. As I say, please do get in touch with me if you're an Indian tax authority, and I'd be quite happy to pass on Himanshu's last details together with the profits that his company actually makes. And maybe you guys can do more than the police have done. Angela Johnson, again, thank you very much. Crypt Keeper, thank you, $10. Am I a DivvyR supporter? Yes, I absolutely am. I'm in regular contact with DivvyR. I do, yeah, I mean, I'm in contact. Everybody who does scam baiting, whatever they do, whatever method they use, is on the right side. So there's people who have little spats, and I don't, and I'm sure that there's quarrels between people who do this, but at the end of the day, we're on the same side. Everybody's sick of their parents and grandparents getting scammed, and I think everybody who does scam baiting, has their role to play. People like Kit Boga, IRL Rosie, really funny, really entertaining, and it's great to see scammers' time being wasted in a very entertaining way. There's maybe more serious ones, like maybe myself and others. DivvyR does a great job as well, and I find him very entertaining. So again, look up DivvyR and give him your support as well. Yeah, so hopefully answered that, Crypt Keeper. No LBW or LWB, sorry. Just make sure I got that one. Oh, hopefully I'm not missing anybody off the chat here, but apologies if I have. Kishore K, thanks for your efforts. Father-in-law is high-ranking police officer. Good. I hope that the Hyderabad police can do something. There was a video I did not so long ago on a company called Acuta Technologies in Hyderabad, and they are one of the most prolific scamming organizations who have been calling people, particularly in the UK, pretending to be BT and TalkTalk and OpenReach. And I know for certain they've made an absolute fortune from that. I exposed them in a video not so long ago, but I know that they closed down for a few weeks. But I know for certain they are back up and running in Hyderabad. And Kishore, if you have anything that you can look at, I would appreciate someone in Hyderabad looking at that organization and the people who run it. It's public knowledge who runs those companies, and surely to goodness the police can do something about them. But yeah, anyway, Kishore, if you can do something, that would be great. David, my goodness, you've given me like $100 here. I'm just flabbergasted. Thank you so much. Hopefully, some of what I put up there will be educational. It's under the education category in YouTube, and I do that deliberately because I try to make them as informative as I can. Sometimes at the expense of people saying you're kind of writing a handbook for scammers sometimes, because it goes into that much detail. I make no apology for that, though. I think unless you know how scams work, you can't easily defend against them, and I make no apologies for it. So David, thank you so much for you're saying I'm doing a public service. I hope I am, and I'm really hoping that the work amounts to something. And I think there's a little bit of momentum gathering, and with any luck in the future, it will actually make a bit of change in India. That's where it needs to happen. So, David, thank you so much for that. That's very, very generous. Let me just cover the last one. I really do want to end this within 5 minutes. I am joining one of my friends who's another fellow scam baiter on his channel in around about 10 minutes. And I want to have a quick breather before that. So actually this friend invited me to his channel, and I'm hoping he won't mind me mentioning it on here. So Jim, if you're watching, is another Jim. Hopefully we can link up before too long. And yeah, right. I'll mention it in just a second. I just want to make sure he's happy with me doing that. So let me just cover off these live chats. Okay, just have a look back through here. Just make sure I'm not missing anyone. Apologies if I am. Okay, Avinash, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody who's okay. And Poison Leaf, thank you. It's good to see someone from Belgium in the live chat as well. Thank you very much. And okay, I think we'll probably draw the stream to a close here. Let me just make sure we've covered everybody. Suvadeep, again, thank you so much. Legit call centers for BT and TalkTalk and HP are actually run from India. Absolutely, yes, there are. I'm aware of that. And the really sad thing is that legit call centers with people who have Indian accents are the ones who suffer probably most when it comes to being a call center worker, because automatically people are less inclined to trust you, sadly, if you've got an Indian accent, and it's only because of the sheer number of scam phone calls that are made. So yes, this is the problem, and it's, as I say, I've had lots of emails from legitimate organizations in India who are trying to do tech support, and if you can imagine the effect that the scammers are having on their business. Okay, folks. Again, thank you to everybody who joined there. I really appreciate all of your comments, all of the likes, and all of the super chat. It means an immense amount to me that I get this support. So really, really appreciate this. Particularly people, there's a lot of people who've thrown in even on the super chat there, and I really apologize that I couldn't get through all of the kind of questions that have been asked here. So I'm sorry if I missed anybody, even on the super chat. I will try to, if there's any comments there, I'll look back through them, and if I haven't answered them, I will try to do so. Right, folks, thank you again. I'll probably bring this stream to an end. I'm not very slick at these things. Hopefully over time we will get a little bit better at them. But again, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for your support in all its form, and hopefully we'll run one of these again soon. Okay, folks, we'll leave it here, and thank you again for joining. Goodbye.